Alright guys, welcome to the Gun Circus. This is kind of a special episode we got for you tonight. I constantly get questions about meal prep, diet, nutrition, that kind of thing. So I think it's going to be an extremely informative broadcast for you. I got a call from a new friend earlier named Tyler who started asking questions about nutrition right off the bat. I said, man, get the Periscope app and I'll educate you pretty well tonight. Obviously this isn't going to be all inclusive, but this will be a really good start. One of the biggest deals that you face is meal prep, because you have to put a lot of thought into what you put in your body. You literally are what you eat. And if you're going to be a competitor, if you're going to push yourself to that next level, even if you're not trying to be a competitor, you're just trying to lose weight, trying to get fit, what we're about to show you has got an unbelievable amount of value to it. So let's just kind of get going in this, and I'll talk about some details related to each thing as we go through. And what I've done is I've spent some time in preparing everything so that I can walk you through it really quick without it taking an insane amount of time. Now, what you'll learn is that once you get a system in place for this, this really doesn't take that long. I'll do meal prep for about an hour to an hour and a half twice a week. And other than that, I don't do a great deal of, I don't put a great deal of additional thought into it, because all the thought's done at once. So I've been carb depleting, and now I'm about to start putting carbs back into my diet. Let's briefly talk about that. What we generally try to do is we're going to water load, and then we're going to water deplete right at the end. And we will also carb deplete. And the reason why we do that is because we want our muscles to be hungry for carbs. So when we start putting the carbs back in, it's like a sponge and it absorbs. If you're looking at me right now and you're thinking, wow, that guy really doesn't look that muscular, he looks pretty flat, I would 100% agree with you. And the reason for that is because I'm on my 4th day of carb depletion, and you do get kind of irritable sometimes. I tend to take small amounts of carbs just to kind of keep me from getting irritable and to help curb cravings. But for the past 2 days I've been carb free. And now, beginning Friday morning, I'm going to begin to feed that back in. We're Wednesday now, so I've got one more day, so all this prep is for that. So once you put those carbs in and your muscles start absorbing it, what it's going to do is it's going to pull any remainder of water from your skin and pull that into the muscle as well, which tightens your skin up to your muscle, makes you look a lot more defined. Obviously, with the carbs absorbing the muscle, the muscles absorbing the carbs, I'm going to look a lot fuller, rounder, and more muscular. Right now, my skin's really loose because the muscles are smaller inside there, because they don't have much water in them and they don't have any carbs in them. All that will change, my skin will tighten up, and everything will suck in real tight. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and prepared a few of these. This is very simple, 400 degrees. On the convection oven, and I put all these in at once. I'll leave them in for an hour. When they're finished, these guys are beyond compare. You can peel them like a banana. Oftentimes I'm driving down the road and I'll just tear the skin off one and eat it straight like that. I eat them cold all the time and love them cold, so you don't have to heat them up. So just real quick, I'll show you 2 of them over here that I haven't prepared. Nothing to them, but I wanted you to see the difference. This is a regular sweet potato. You'll notice the size isn't that big, and I do that on purpose because that's a smaller serving size. And when I'm carb loading, I'm taking smaller servings of carbs instead of enormous servings of carbs. Very simple to get it ready. I don't put anything in there with it, just simply roll it up. Bam, that's ready. And then another option is also another sweet potato, and you're probably saying, man, that looks like a regular potato. Well, this is a white sweet potato. The taste is very similar. The effect is the same, so I've added in 2 of those just for fun, just to do something a little bit different. I was at the farmer's market and they had them available. I thought, what the heck. Okay, so those are ready. I'm going to go ahead and put those in first, and I'm just going to set them in. The oven's already warm.
That's lovely.
Burned my hand on this more than once, so you got to be careful. I generally try to put them on the top rack so that I can use the bottom rack for another thing I'm going to show you, but It's just quicker to do that. Okay, those are ready to go. Now the next thing I've done is I've prepared a bunch of broccoli. And again, I'm trying to do this as easy as possible, as quick as possible. I want to keep it as pure as possible. These are organic, straight from CSA that I'm a member of, Farmhouse Produce. And I bought these from them, just took the heads off of them and put them in here with some water. This is a really cool little device. Put water in the bottom, put it in a microwave. The microwave does all the work for you. It steams them and it finishes them on their own. I don't even have to think about it. So I'm just going to put the lid on that and put that in. Okay. And then on this, simply just hit steam cook, 2 for vegetables, and hit start. It's going to sense it on its own and it'll know exactly what to do. One thing I saved out was the stem, and I wanted to show you something on this. Most people just discard this. If I didn't have so much broccoli right now, I wouldn't discard it. Generally what I'll do is I'll cut these in thin little pieces, just like that. And I'll put those in there and steam them as well, and they taste amazing. I don't know why everybody has a tendency to discard those all the time, but I always use them. Now, broccoli, greens in general, let's stick with greens. I want you to stay away from anything yellow. And the reason why I say sticking with greens is because greens have a great effect on your body as far as tightening up your skin and drawing everything in. Especially asparagus. I was told, and I have not researched this, but I was told that asparagus also has a fat burning property in it. And surprisingly enough, asparagus also has protein in it. So protein's a whole nother discussion for another day. I'm not going to go down that road right now, but I've already prepared several of these, and the same thing, everybody knows how to do these. I don't go through the fancy little method. I just say, all right, about 1/3 of that's garbage because it's too tough, and I do discard these. So now I've got a whole bunch of asparagus ready to go. Now when that finishes, I'm just going to throw that in and steam that as well, so that'll steam the same way. And I'm going to walk you around here and just show you a few different things. I love to juice, and one of the main reasons why I do that is because I believe that getting those extra greens and the extra nutrients from that has a great deal of value to keeping me healthy. And I would prefer to use the vegetables I get from the CSA, which I commonly do, but I did that last week and I don't have any, so I go to the store and I get this. I do like this brand. It's got a great taste. And Mason, if you can get that label, I just want to show them the amount of sugars that's in that.
4 grams.
Okay, this one right here is 4 grams of sugar. And that's acceptable in my book. They've got a couple of other brands that Sam sells that has 20 grams. Now, don't get me wrong, they taste amazing, and I do drink them, but I try to limit those. I prefer the lower sugar content, and the sugar is your biggest enemy in the world, so stay away from it as much as you can. So there's an example of that. I just wanted to show you that and make you mindful of the sugar content. And one other thing, stay away from dairy. When you're trying to dairy has a tendency to round you out. So I'm a big fan of almond milk. This brand's good, and this is only 60 calories per serving, and the stuff tastes amazing. I'll cook with it and eat cereal with it if I ever eat cereal, which is extremely rare. All right, and then moving around, let's take a look at what we've got here.
That looks pretty good.
I've done 2 things here. This is a trout. This is a salmon. Now, a lot of people will tell you don't eat salmon because of the fat. I disagree. If you have a problem with losing weight and fat's been a real problem in your diet, you might want to listen to that. But the omega-3s in salmon are extremely vital to your brain function. So don't strip fats from your diet. There's a lot of good ways to get healthy fats. That's a perfect segue into this. Avocados and almonds. We keep almonds around here all the time, just snack on them. And avocados, I use those. I'll cut them up, put them in with my eggs in the morning. I'll also put those in guacamole and make my own homemade guacamole. Try to limit the amount of salt that you put in that. And really, when you're cooking, try to stay as clean as possible. Don't get carried away with a lot of different things. That way you can control better what you're putting in your body. Now you got to remember that your body has to process everything you put into it. So if you put stuff that's man-made into it, then your body's all confused and it's like, wow, what is this crap? I got to figure out a way to get rid of it. So it's working double hard to get rid of the garbage. If it's stuff that God made, that grows out of the ground, this is stuff that your body knows how to process, and it can process it easily. I also want to bring your attention to these fruits. The reason why I have those here, and for the past 2 weeks I haven't, is because I'm going to be putting these in my protein drinks in the mornings. Now, the reason why I haven't had them is because you do get a certain amount of calories and carbohydrates from the fructose in them, and I've been trying to strip all that out for a while, but I'm going to begin feeding that back in. So these are going to become an essential part of my smoothie in the mornings when I take my pre-workout prior to workout and my protein mix. And I actually got these from the farmer's market as well. I thought they would be a great little neat thing to throw in there. Picked up a couple of these oranges. I ate one yesterday. It was great. I keep cantaloupe around mainly because my daughter loves it, but I also will put that in my smoothie. So now moving over here, just to show you what we're doing, a couple different ways to prepare this. I've already got some of the trout in here, and what you see on top is just a simple blackened seasoning. And then in the bottom, if you notice that little shimmer and shine in there, that's grapeseed oil. And I love grapeseed oil. It gives great flavor. My mother got me this from a place up near where she lives. And it's a very healthy alternative as far as oils are concerned. So I'm just going to slide this in, same temperature and everything, don't overcomplicate it, but you do have to monitor it because it cooks fairly quickly. I've got one more. That one was the trout, and this one is the salmon. So in the bottom of this pan, instead of using grapeseed oil, I did just a little bit of olive oil, and I did that mainly for the no stick. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this blackened seasoning. Right now I'm a little bit more liberal than normal. This has a small amount of salt in it, which I'm actually going to need so that my muscles will hold in the water and help me to fill out. So this goes in with it. Now, the next biggie is eggs. And I've prepared all this so that it'll be ready to go. Now on my gas stove, what I do is I turn this thing down to its lowest possible level. Now what I did before we started filming is I've taken a little bit of olive oil and I've coated the pan with it so that it won't stick. This thing has some little bolts that go through there, and it has a bad tendency to stick around that, so I'll make sure I get some on there. So what I do is I eat 8 eggs each morning post-workout. I do that for the protein and the fact that it's got such a low amount of calories in it. Now, just to help you to understand what you need for protein intake, you can figure that for every egg you're getting about 7 grams of protein. The same for chicken and fish, about 7 grams per ounce. So the strips that you saw in there are roughly 6 to 8 ounce cuts. Now I know this only visually because in the beginning I used to weigh them, and now I have a pretty good understanding of what it looks like. So all I do is I simply cut to about what I think it should be. I'm not trying to make rocket science out of it, I'm just trying to get in the right ballpark range. So I've already cracked all these, and I wanted to show you how we do this. Just saved one to show you. When I crack this thing, I'm separating the yolk and the white just by doing this, just by swish washing it back and forth, and you see it fall out there. And what I've got is a big empty tub here that had some protein mix in it. That's one that I would recommend if you're looking for a good protein. And I just throw them in there so that I can keep the mess right here and keep it controlled.
Don't worry about that one yolk in there.
No, I left that one yolk in there for a reason. I wanted to show you a little trick.
Never mind.
You can take a bottle like this and squeeze the air out of it, and then just put it on that sucker, and look at that. Bang. Sucks it right up. Problem's gone. So now that booger's in there with that, and now all I have is egg whites. I've heard debates on people saying, well, there's no need in throwing those away. Hey, if you want to eat them, eat them. It's a bunch of cholesterol that I don't need. I don't have a cholesterol problem, thank God, but I'm going to make sure I don't. Now, the next thing I recommend is whipping air into it. And the reason why I do that is this thing, when I put it in here, it's going to come out brilliant. Because with the extra air in there, it fluffs itself up and becomes just this incredible omelet. Sometimes I'll cut up some asparagus and whatnot and put in there. In fact, I'll probably do that this time. And all you do is pour those puppies right in. And since I've got it on the lowest setting, I don't have to do another thing to it. It will actually cook all the way through with this top on it, and then when I'm ready, I'll flip it over just at the last minute just to get a little bit of heat on the other side so that it'll even it out. So since I've got some fresh cut asparagus over here, I'm going to go ahead and throw some in there while it's doing its business.
Almost looks like Gatorade.
Sometimes I'll use some bell peppers or something like that for a little bit of color in there too. And I'll show you when these are done cooking what my secret ingredient is, which just gives it a little bit of taste and some extra spice to make it more interesting. Sometimes I'll put in hot sauce while it's cooking, and sometimes even after it's cooked. All right, I'm not a rocket scientist on this either, you can see, but there it is. That's 2 days worth. That's 16 eggs, and I'm going to go ahead and prepare them 2 days in advance. Today's Wednesday, so I've got to be prepared for Thursday and Friday. Then Saturday morning is the competition for Flex Lewis Classic that Olympus Gym is sponsoring over here at the Embassy Suites in Murfreesboro, and I apologize, my sinuses have been haywire. Okay, while this is cooking, I want to swap over to this. Now, this pan also has grapeseed oil in it. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get this puppy going. If I can. There we go. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing with this that I did with the other one. I'm going to put it on its lowest heat setting, and then I'm just going to cover it for a minute before I put anything in it. Now what I'm doing is I'm cooking my fish in 2 different fashions just for so that I can keep things cooking and do it faster, but it also gives a better flavor. I like it cooked in this pan better than I do in the oven. And what I'll do is I'll take this fish and drop that in and just let that oil do its work on it. And there's several different spices I'll use. I like to use onion powder. And I also like to use garlic powder. And both of these work really well as some additional seasonings that don't throw anything that's crappy on there. And then on these particular ones, I'm going to throw a little bit of that blackened seasoning on top as well. And these have great health properties in them as well, so you're not yucking it up.
Anyone has any questions or anything, let us know.
Yeah, that's great, Mason. You know, you can type in a question if you have a question during this broadcast, and Mason will tell me what you're saying, and we'll try to address that right away. Okay. All right, last thing, I'm going to throw a little bit of blackened seasoning on with this. And I picked these up at Sam's. They're pretty fresh. You can get these a lot more affordably if you buy them frozen. But I prefer them fresh like this, and if you're on a tighter budget constraint, by all means, you know, think about that. Okay, I'm going to give that just another moment here, and I want to show you this. You can see how that's starting to cook up, and you notice it's not boiling or anything like that, so you don't have to worry about it burning. Just let it go and let it do what it does. All right, let's get this fish in. And I like to work that fish around like this to make sure that I get the oil on the bottom real well so that it doesn't stick.
This prices are high from Lauren and Lexi.
Hello, ladies.
Oh, those are daughters.
Yeah. Hope y'all are learning something. Okay, I got one piece that's going to be a little too big, so I'm going to have to do that on round 2. We're going to let that go. Now, I heard that beeping, so timing out is perfect. we're going to pull out the asparagus, I mean the broccoli.
Uh-huh.
Now look at that. It does all the work for me, and that took every bit of 6 minutes maybe. So next step, just drain it a little bit. And then I'm going to take some cool water just to expedite the cooling so that I can get it into a storage container. Ooh. Now with these, if you want to throw a little seasoning on there, no problem. I'll probably add a little salt, which I normally don't do, but like I said before, I'm trying to get a little bit of salt in my diet now. So while that's straining, I'm going to get out a couple of containers for that. And you'll notice that I put them in larger containers, but when I do my meal prep, I prep for an entire day. And you guys have seen my 6-pack before. Not the one on my body, but the one I packed my lunch in. And I'll show you that briefly again here in just a moment. We're making a mess.
Yep.
There's that one. That'll be ready to go in the refrigerator. And then I'll throw it in this other one. And voila, we're done. Now, we're ready for the asparagus. Simply throw this asparagus in like this. One of the things that I like to do with asparagus is I like to add a little bit of lemon on top of it. It gives it a great little flavor. It works better when you're baking it or broiling it than it does when you're steaming it, but surprisingly enough, the taste does stay in it. So there's that, and I'm even going to throw that in with it. Just like that. And like I said, for a change, I am actually going to add a little salt in. This is sea salt. Okay. Now that's ready to go in, and it works the same way as before. Just put the top back in, turn on the microwave. And that's it. Okay, let's take a look here, see how our eggs are coming along. A few more minutes, that's going to be done. Fish is finally getting to the right temperature, and this stuff really cooks quickly, so it won't take it much longer to be ready to pull out. So while that's doing that, I'm going to get this stuff put away, and that should time out about right. Favorite knife in the world, guys. You gotta have one of these. This puppy will cut through a can. Not kidding.
Miracle Blade.
Gotta have one. I got 2 of them. You probably remember the commercials where they had the little ninja knives that were like that. Those things, surprisingly enough, really do work like they say they do. Okay, we'll stick these in the refrigerator. In case you ever wonder how we eat, this place is pretty clean.
Yeah, there's nothing in there.
Other than my flasks, which I can't have alcohol right now. That's the downside.
Oh, you can't? I didn't know that.
I bet there's a bunch of you out there saying there's no way in hell I'm doing that now if I can't have alcohol. Okay, that's done. I'm done with prep for this. Trashing it. And eggs are about 2 minutes away from being flipped. Fish is about 5 minutes. And these may be ready. No, they're close.
That one does.
Now I think these need to go just a little bit longer. We put that one in first, and you can always tell when fish looks like it's kind of drying and beginning to suck in on itself. That's when it's ready to come out. I'm gonna put these away real quick, just so that I can stay on a roll here and stay on top of everything. Here's another one I've been killing. This is one of the ones with 20 grams in it, 20 grams of sugar. But oh my goodness, it tastes good. Let me demonstrate. Take a look at our map, our planner up here.
This was the first one right here, and this is this coming up one.
All right, look at these puppies now. That's what I'm talking about. You see how that looks like it's solid on top? Now's when the trick comes in.
Spatula.
Now hopefully I got this pan coated well enough that it comes out. Sometimes it's a little bit tough to get to flip. And if it does, no biggie.
That makes the fun for it.
Ooh, almost had it. So close, so close. Bang, got it, baby.
It almost looks like a pancake.
Now, in about another minute, that'll rise and get real thick, and it'll be ready to put into a container as well.
Here's the backpack.
Yeah, this is the 6-pack, and you can see each one of these individual containers like this. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meals, and you can put a 5th on top. Generally what I'll do is I'll put an ice pack on there just to give it some extra cooling power to keep it longer for the day, because this thing goes with me everywhere I go. All right, let me show you the secret ingredient. I have to say thank you to Tracy for this. She picked this up at the farmer's market, and it has been a huge hit. I usually use, and let me show you.
Didn't really drop it.
I usually use this on the border salsa. It's got very low sodium in it and just gives it a great kick. But I've switched over to this because this stuff is so spectacular. It's got 15 calories per tablespoon in it. So it's got a little bit more calories in it, but man, the flavor's worth it. So step number 1 is just to put a little bit on the bottom so that I can throw the eggs on top of it, and then I'll layer it in. So this baby's ready to go. See how that fattened up?
I don't know how well you guys are going to see it.
Now what I'll do is I'll cut this thing in half, try to make it into 2 servings so that I can kind of judge what I need to eat each day. There's serving number 1. And just lay that puppy in there like that. And then we'll do another little bit of this. Bang, like that. I'm less conscious about the amount that I'm using at this moment, simply because of the fact that I am beginning to carb load, and this is going to be part of that process.
That smells good.
Oh, it tastes amazing. Okay, and then there's number 2. And you can see how clean that pan is. It's a very easy cleanup as long as you get it coated well. Okay, we can turn that off now. Hey, I even cleaned the stove up for you guys. All right, let's look at our fish. Now that is kicking.
Oh, that smells good.
Oh man, 2 more minutes. All right, let's put this stuff up. We'll let this cool. Now, one thing that you'll notice is that the eggs, when you go to eat them in the morning, there will be some liquid in the bottom, some water in the bottom. All that is the water content in the eggs that evaporated off to the bottom. Don't worry about it.
And there's your eggs.
All right, these are ready to go in.
Daddy, are you gonna check on your fish in here?
Yeah, in just a second. It looked like it had a little bit more time to go. This one up here is cooking faster. Bar none, the longest broadcast we've ever done, but hopefully the most informative. Now that's how it should look. That can come off now.
Pretty soon they're gonna be able to make it to where you can, like, from a phone or take a picture or something, like actually smell the food from over the phone.
Yeah, we need smell-o-vision.
That'd be pretty cool. Thanks, guys. Have a good night from Jim Donald 521.
Thanks for joining, guys. Cooked perfectly in just a short amount of time. That's beautiful. Now, one thing I'd warn you on is overcooking this fish. If you overcook it, it really kills the flavor and makes it a little bit tough. All right, there's that. We'll throw that last piece in and let it do its thing. We'll do it tough. All right, let that puppy go. Should be about ready in the oven too. Yes, I think we are. Okay, let me get these out.
Are those the sweet potato smell?
Sweet potatoes will go for an hour. In case anybody's wondering, they go for a solid hour.
Smells good.
Yeah, those sweet potatoes have a great aroma. Okay, this one's ready.
Make sure you wear your safety net.
There's that. This other one I think is ready as well, so I'm going to go ahead with this.
You're getting like 50 hearts for this.
Yeah, man, if you could smell it, you'd put out 1,000 hearts. Leave those those sweet potatoes in, because those guys are not going to overcook. All right.
Hold on before you take the top off. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and you can hear it. It's dancing. It's just stiff enough that I can tell that it's cooked. You hear that beeping, that tells me that the asparagus is done. So this timing is going to be as good as I could hope for a live broadcast. Okay, there's that one. I'm going to leave that just to let it cool so that I don't set it in the sink like that.
Are these the two different types of fish?
Yeah, this one is the trout, and the one that I just pulled out was the salmon.
This is trout, and that's salmon.
Yeah.
They all look good and taste great.
I'm sorry, this is salmon. See, you can tell there's the salmon skin. The other one's the trout.
Two questions. One, the spicier the better. Can I add any spices to any of the meal? Whoa, wait. Oh yeah. Can I add any spices of the meals, or will it take that meals, or will that take away? Okay, let me read that again. The spicier the better. Can I add spiciness to any of the meals, or will that take away?
Okay, a couple thoughts. Very small amount of calories you're adding, so please, if you like the spice, add the spice. I would encourage you to stay away from anything that's going to be additional salt content, however, because that's going to cause you to retain water. So if you like it spicy and you want to use Pete's hot sauce, Tabasco, fine, go for it. If you want to add some paprika, absolutely, and there's some great health benefits to that as well.
Alright, second question. With these delicious looking meals, how about much water should be intaking?
Now that depends on where you're at in your training. If you're trying to load, then you need to be drinking 2 gallons a day, tapering back as you get closer to show day. That's my biggest downfall, is I should have drank 1.5 gallons today, 1 gallon tomorrow, and I might have had a half gallon today. So when I get done here, I'm going to have to start slugging some water just to try to get some additional water intake. However, I do believe that just regular water consumption is really all you need. Playing with water sometimes you don't really notice. Some people get great benefits from it, but for me, I haven't had any negative results from not loading enough water in. Okay, baked potato. The sweet potatoes is all we have left. Oh, I'm sorry, asparagus. Good. Mason reminded me. Another thing that's worth mentioning is when you're cooking your fish, chicken, or lean sirloin, you can cook it to the point where it's almost done, and then turn the heat off and move it off the burner altogether, but leave the lid on and it'll continue to cook. So you actually get a little bit better result that way, because it doesn't dry it out and cook the juices out of the meat that you're cooking. Okay, you see how that's coming along? Just a little bit longer on that. Oh my gosh, that grapeseed oil smells so good. Okay, I'm going to put this in a container and pull that last piece of fish off, and we're going to wrap it up. Watch it.
Oh.
Ooh, that's hot. Get a longer container. Let's see, let's do that one.
We have a lot of plastic containers.
Okay. Now, I'm going to show you guys one last thing before we wrap this up. Now, what I'll do in the morning is I'll take these big, large servings out, and I'll go to my 6-pack and I'll put everything in there. First, my eggs go in, and then I'll create my meals. I will have 1 serving of one of my greens and 1 serving of meat for each meal. Now, generally what I'll do, since I've got so much here, is I'll do about a half serving of asparagus and a half serving of broccoli with a piece of my fish. And I'm sticking strictly with fish this time just because I wanted fish. You can do really lean sirloin. It's okay to have red meat. And you can do white chicken breast. Don't do the brown. There's just too much fat in it, and you don't need the additional fat intake. Now, I'm going to close. I'm going to give everybody a chance to ask any questions you want, so shoot them out while I'm putting this up. And if you don't have any, then we'll sign off. Look at that beauty. Now that, my friend, is amazing. And that's about as clean as I can possibly do this process too.
Smells good.
Mason, how long have we been broadcasting?
No clue, but probably more than 20 minutes almost, maybe.
Okay. Alright guys, let's just assume that we've been broadcasting 20 minutes. You just saw 3 days worth of meal prep in 20 minutes. Now I had probably 30 minutes into preparing it before I went live with you guys. So if you figure you got an hour, maybe an hour and a half into this, it's not bad. Alright guys, Gun Circus out, and we'll see you in the morning at the gym.